space is, oh, we're now on YouTube. That's good, guys? Okay, great. So I'll just say now that I see that, hey guys, I'm going to talk through some things that I think are universal in this space, but I would love it if you would ask questions about what is specifically affecting you and your business right now today. That is the most value that I can add to our conversation and our time together. So the other thing that I think so many people struggle with is rejection. Because in a business like this, you're going to hear no over and over and over. And as women, we tend to internalize someone saying no to our business, that it's someone saying no to us. You know, there are times in your life where someone has offered you a product or talked to you about a program or wanted to sell you, and you said no. And it wasn't because you hated them. And it wasn't because, you know, you didn't think that they were a good person. It was any number of reasons. It was you weren't into the product. It was you didn't have the money. There were all of these personal reasons why you said no that you can understand. But suddenly when someone says no to you, you make it all about yourself. You decide like, yep, it means that you're a crappy business person. It means that you're not a good salesperson. You internalize all these things when like, oh my gosh, it's just a no. Get over it. You need to set your mind to the idea, instead of saying like, I want to get 10 yeses, you need to be like, I'm going to work until I get 100 no's. I'm going to work until I get 100 no's, because if I get 100 no's, that means I maybe got 3 yeses. But if you have it in your heart that you're working off of how you're going to get a sale, then you're in trouble. Because what if you're not going to get any sales this week? What if every single person this week is going to say no to you? So that's going to discourage you because you made your goal the wrong thing. I think we have to get past a place where we're afraid of, sorry, I just clicked something, where we're afraid of people telling us that they don't want something, that they don't like what we're selling, that like, it is what it is. This is the business, right? I think too, there is this really interesting space being in this business where you're really excited about it. You're really excited about the community and you're really excited about the product, because frankly, if you weren't, you wouldn't be here. But you simultaneously don't really want to tell anybody what you're doing. Does that make sense? Like so often we sort of, like even in any kind of business, people will be like, well, I'm in marketing or I do business development. They will think of every word they can think of to describe what is essentially sales. Like you are in sales. There is this like dirty word or this idea about what it is to be a salesperson. And it drives me crazy because I'm like, dude, you as a small business owner, you are the backbone of this country. The work that you are doing is important, and you are not going to have that work, and you are not going to be able to support your family, and you are not going to be able to add to your bank account if you aren't willing to get past this fear of selling to people. So we have a question from Stephanie in Utah. What specific steps can I take to separate myself from a rejection, my self-worth from a rejection? Okay, Steph, if you are tying your self-worth to someone agreeing to do business with you, you're in trouble. Because that's the only way that a rejection is tied to self-worth, right? Is that on some level you think if you get a sale, you're doing a good job. And I would argue that if you're taking care of your customers, you're doing a good job. I would argue that it's more important to develop relationships with these people that you're selling to check in with them, to love on them. Hey, I know it's your birthday this week, Susan. I hope you're having a great week. Like that you're taking care of them holistically, not just in this one area when you want to sell them something. That is the value of you as a professional, not whether or not they bought the thing this week. So it has nothing to do with you. And I guess I would just ask you to remember that when you have said no to things, when you have turned down business, when people ask you to engage in it, it didn't mean you didn't like them. And it didn't mean that they were a bad person. It just meant not right now, or not this product, or I'm not interested, but it wasn't about them disliking you. So just being mindful of that. And guys, I would love for you to ask more questions so that I can make sure and offer wisdom that's specific to where you're at. How can I get over fear of judgment from posting my business offer on social media? And that's from Holly in California. Okay, listen, guys, this is super important. If you want to be successful in social media, the social media needs to be about you and what you're doing. It is a lifestyle of using this product. It is the lifestyle of being part of this team. It is the lifestyle that you are sharing. What happens too often is that the only time people in a lot of these industries are posting is when they have something to sell. And when you're passionate about the product that you're selling, it shouldn't feel creepy. But if it's the only thing you're doing, if you are only asking for sales, well, of course, it's going to start to feel odd, because nobody wants to follow someone who's only talking about buying from them. I feel like a really good example, I don't know who on here follows me on social media, or if maybe you've been following me for a long time, but what you are seeing right now with the success of Girl Wash Your Face is me giving content away for free for years and years and years, and then all of a sudden going, hey, I have this book. And my audience showed up for me so big because I had been providing really incredible value for them for so long. So what are all of the things that are wrapped around the product that you are selling? So for me, like for instance, with the book is all about personal growth. And I want women to understand that they are in control of what happens next, and they're in control of their future. I can talk about that in 50 different ways. And if you look on my social, you'll see that I do. I'm sharing motivational quotes. I'm talking about other people's books that are similar to this. I'm talking about my favorite podcast. I'm offering mad value for people that are interested in this topic, because that's what they're there for. So when I'm also like, oh, and here's my book, it doesn't feel weird because it's totally in line with what you're getting from me all the time. So I guess I would just encourage you, sorry guys, I'm at my house and my dog's gonna bark now. So real life. But I would just encourage you, you're not supposed to be afraid. So I'm breaking that into two parts. One, Holly, make sure that you're posting something full and rich all the time, and it's not just about buying your product. But can we all just dig into fear of judgment? Woo! Okay, Holly, I'm going to hope that you've read the book. And if you haven't, I'm going to give you one of the most popular quotes from this book, which is something that a therapist told me years ago. Someone else's opinion of you is none of your business. If you are living in fear of someone else's judgment about what you're posting on social, you are way too concerned about someone else's opinion. And I would argue that other people's opinions and other people's perception of us is what holds us back from doing the thing that we want to do. You're afraid of like what the other girls in your team are gonna know, because they're probably posting the same thing and they're supportive of you and the work you're doing. So maybe you're worried about your family's opinion, or like the girls that you went to junior high with, or you're still friends with on Facebook. Like, man, if someone's going to be judgmental about you trying to build a life and a business for yourself, why are they in your life? Why are they in your feed? Like, we have to take a step back and look at what the problem is more holistically. It's not about the posts that you're putting on social. It's about you being afraid of what other people think of you, and what other people think of you is none of your business. So the next question is, I feel like I've done all the personal development stuff and it's working for others, but not me. Wow, that's really interesting. So I got a couple of things. I would say maybe you haven't found the right kind of speaker or teacher for you. I'm a huge Tony Robbins fan. He is my hero. I love his style. I made my mom go to one of his conferences recently because I just was like, everybody can benefit from this wisdom. And my mom hated it. Like, hated it. It wasn't her style at all. She was like, it was too loud. I didn't like all the jumping. It was too much energy required. So I just want to encourage you, maybe you just haven't found a teacher that speaks to you. I'm so sorry that my dog is barking this much, you guys. But maybe you haven't found a speaker that speaks to you in the way that you need to learn. What's your advice for dealing with immediate family members who don't support your business? Overall support and encouragement. That's from Jackie. So Jackie, this is probably not the opinion that people want to hear, but you cannot count on other people to give you the encouragement and the support that you need in order to be successful. I have made an absolute incredible career and built an incredible company for myself without the support of my immediate family. I'm super blessed in that I have a husband who's my biggest cheerleader, but I lived a lot of years before I met him. And if I had waited to have the support or the encouragement from my family, my friends, I wouldn't have done anything. So this might not be what other people would tell you, but I would stop concerning yourself with getting their support, and I would put my head down and get to work. I'm going to guess in an organization like this that you have a ton of support from your team. And so if you really feel like you need encouragement, I would reach to other people who get it, because your family might not get it. I would also say, if sometimes people aren't supportive because they don't get it, and sometimes people aren't supportive because you doing something new, you challenging yourself for growth, reminds them that they're not doing that. Like, you reaching for success is a reminder to them that you are like trying to be something more. And many people are challenged by that because they don't like the reminder that they're not living up to who they want to be. Mediocre people will try and drag you back down to mediocre. And it's terrible, but it's true. So I think if it was me, I just put my head down and get back to work. I'm not worried about what anyone else thinks.
Yeah. Okay. This is a question I'm getting a lot. Besides Girl Wash Your Face and Rise, because duh, we love those.
Yes.
What would be one of the most impactful books or conferences or experiences as part of your personal growth?
Yeah, so I talk about it in Girl Wash Your Face, but going to UPW, which is like, it's Unleash the Power Within. It's a Tony Robbins conference, changed my life. And 2 years later, when Dave went with me, it changed our marriage. But again, like, not everybody is into his style, but I absolutely learned so much. And I think I'm a huge advocate for conferences. That's why we throw them, because something happens when you're fully immersed. When you go away for a couple of days, you get away from your kids, you get away from the chaos at home, and you just start to ask yourself better questions, and you start to get different insights. So for me, that's a big one. One of my favorite books the last 5 years is by Brendan Burchard. It's called High Performance Habits. And it's the 7 habits. I think it's 7 habits. Maybe, but it's, they tested like 3,000 high performers, like Olympians and professional athletes and people who are at the top of their careers. And they identified these things that people who are high performers, who have high output, that they do. Some of them we know, like, you'll be like, well, obviously, and others you're like, oh man, that's so simple and I never thought of it. So that was one of my favorite books. Yeah.
And I love that you normalize like taboo topics.
Yes.
Sex and therapy. Like me and my husband are huge advocates for counseling. Everybody knows that. Even have a hashtag, make counseling cool. Like, I just want to normalize it. So I appreciate that so much about you. And if you would just share a little bit more just about how much self-awareness that brought you, or how beneficial that was, just talk about that some more so we can.
Yeah. It's so funny. I've heard this a lot lately, and I think it's so interesting when we share our stories and our truth. You don't realize how many other people, like, that's not the truth for. So I guess I would back up and say, for everyone, I think the most powerful question you have to ask yourself is, what do I want? What do I want out of life? Like, very simple, one sentence answer. What do I want? It is so important, and very, very few people will slow down long enough to ask themselves that question. So for me, I've known what I wanted for a really long time, and it has not changed. I want to be a better version of myself every single day. Now, I don't get there every day, but that is my goal. My goal is to be a better mom, a better wife, a better businesswoman, a better teacher, a better speaker, a better writer. I want to improve. I want to grow. And if I want to be a better version of myself, that means that every time some kind of like suffering pops up, and let me sidestep and say, to me, living in a state of any kind of negative emotion is suffering. Anxiety, frustration, bitterness, anger, any of those things, you are suffering and you're choosing it because you really are in control of your mindset, even if it doesn't feel like it. And when you stay in those spaces, or when you return to those spaces over and over and over, you're choosing to live a life that's less than it could be. So for me personally, I really started going to therapy. I was having debilitating anxiety attacks, like couldn't get out of bed, really struggling to be a mom, really struggling to be a CEO. And I was like, I don't want to live this way. Everything in my life, when there's something negative, I'm like, nope, I don't want to live this way. And I don't want to get the quick fix. I want to get the permanent fix. So for me, it's always arming myself with the tools that are going to help me get past this way I'm feeling. And that was when I really started to dig into into therapy as a result. And at the time, honestly, I didn't know where to find a therapist that I would like. And so, pro tip, ask your gynecologist. Because gynecologists typically know the best therapists for women. A lot of times they're referring women who've dealt with loss or infertility issues. So I personally wanted to talk to a woman. I know they're great male therapists, but she sent me somewhere great. And I love, love, love this woman. And she absolutely helped me get to the core of a lot of the reasons that I was struggling, and get to the core of why my anxiety was so bad. And I had to figure out my trigger. I didn't know what was triggering the anxiety attacks. And so if you don't know your trigger for anger, for frustration, for anxiety, for any of that, if you don't know your trigger, you can't get past it. So it's been incredible for me. And I would say the reason that I love most personal growth conferences is because it's like intense therapy for 48 hours. It's like, let's talk about all of our stuff. Let's get through all of our crap in one giant weekend. And it just gives you tools you didn't have before. Okay, so I'm going to answer some more of these questions. Let's see. How can I get my team as excited as I am? From Jennifer. So here is the magic truth. Whether it's your team, your spouse, your friends, your family, people are always asking, like, how do I change my partner? How do I change my husband? How do I change fill in the blank? If you want to change someone, change yourself. If you, Jennifer, are on fire, if you are living every day like this is the jam, I love this company, I love this product, I am living my best life every single day, you are going to motivate other people. And so I have, I've started following a handful of people who are really, like on Instagram, who are really excelling in their careers in direct sales or multi-level marketing or whatever it is. And I don't even know really the product, but I'm like, well, apparently I need to buy this powder and I need to put it into a shake because she is living a very good life. And I start to associate the way she's living with what she's doing or what she's consuming or the product that she's selling. So if you want to change someone else, this is kind of that same thing as like, how do you get your family to be excited? Man, you don't. Like, work on yourself, focus on yourself, live that true experience, and they will get excited too. You can't motivate like other people by force. You can only motivate other people through inspiration. Like, you can't like physically make someone care about wanting to grow. You've got to live in a way that is inspiring, that encourages them to want to ask more questions of themselves. And so I'll tell you, I told you guys what do I want out of life? I want to live to be a better version of myself every single day. And that gives me what I want in my career, which is I want to encourage other women to live a better version of their life every single day. But I am very hyper aware that I cannot I can give you the tools, I can write the books, I can have the conferences, but I can't make you want to change. I can live my life in a way that inspires you, I hope, and make you start to go, well, gosh, I don't know, but maybe if I did a gratitude journal, I wouldn't be so pissed off all the time. Or maybe if I drank more water, then I wouldn't keep getting these headaches. Or maybe fill in the blank. But I'm not trying to force anybody to be motivated. I'm trying to inspire you by making good choices myself. Let's see. What do you do when you don't hit a goal? How do you not let that discourage you? That's from Amanda. Man, we have got to get over our fear of failure. We've got to get over it. People think that it's like two roads and this road leads to success and this road leads to failure. And the truth is, the road to success is like failure, 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 success. Dave Ramsey has this quote that I love. He says, you see people standing on a mountaintop of success and you're like, man, look at all those accolades, look at all that success piled up. And he's like, nah, I am standing on a mountaintop of failure. I'm successful because I'm standing on top of it instead of buried underneath it. You have got to let go of this idea that if you didn't hit the goal that you did something wrong. You've got to give yourself credit for what you have done. There is nothing motivational in beating yourself up. You are never going to be motivated if you are angry about not going where you thought you were going to go. So you're going to fail. You're going to set targets that you don't hit. I would also, just from a business perspective, ask you if your target was realistic. So I set some pretty audacious, crazy big goals, but the crazy big goals I set for myself are, in 5 years or 10 years. It's not this month. You deciding I'm gonna make $1 million before the end of August. Well, that's great, but that's not realistic. What is realistic? Take what you did last month and add a certain percentage to increase it. And I'm going to guess, like with most businesses, you guys have an idea of what that percentage increase should be. So ask yourself if the goal was realistic. If it was and you didn't make it, okay, great. Keep the same goal and try again. And if it was outrageous and insane, well, it's not that you didn't work hard. It's that you had crazy expectations for yourself and you need to calm down. Okay, good. That's funny. The dog really isn't that loud. Okay, good. What are the best tools that help shift your mindset and get out of a rut? So there's not anything that I know better. And I'll just say to you guys, if you have more questions, please keep them coming, because I just want to make sure that I am answering specifically to what you're struggling with. There is not anything that I know better on the planet than a gratitude practice. So for me, I do a daily gratitude meditation. If you've never meditated, think of it as like guided prayer, that you are really focusing on your blessings or really focusing on what has happened today that's been a gift in your life. I also encourage people to do a gratitude journal. So every single day, at the end of the day, write down 10 things that happened that you're grateful for. And that shouldn't be like, I'm grateful for my husband, I'm grateful for my mom, no, it should be tiny things that happened today. Someone let you in on the freeway in traffic. Your partner brought you a cup of coffee before you got out of bed. Your 5-year-old told a joke that was so bad it was actually good. Like, those are the pieces of gratitude that you should be looking for, because if you know that you have to write them down at the end of every day, you will spend your day looking for things to be grateful about. And I can't think of anything to get you out of a rut faster, at least for me personally. I guess I would also say I love a good playlist. I love a good playlist. I know it sounds silly, but music is the fastest way for me to turn my attitude around. When I'm having a hard day, when people are being mean, when something happened, when it didn't go how I thought it would, blasting some Beyonce. I was blasting Beyonce before I came in here. I ran after live stream, took a quick shower, put on my Beyonce. So I had just 8 minutes of her being a powerhouse. And then I came in here to talk to you guys. So what is your version of Beyonce? Everybody has something different, but I really encourage you to have a playlist that's just pump up music. You can teach yourself to jump out of anything. We say it at our conference every year, and if you guys saw the movie, then you know that this was a big part of what we do is same you, new mood, clap your hands. It's like a way to snap yourself out of it. I like how loud a clap is. I like that it snaps your attention and makes you focus. It is the same you. You are the same you that you were 2 minutes ago, but you can change your mood and you are in control of that. So often we think that like, like we think like, well, I'm pissed off. Like, no, you're doing pissed off. You're choosing to be pissed off right now. You're choosing to be pissed off probably because you know pissed off more intimately than you know joy, than you know peace, than you know happiness. Your body, your nervous system will keep reaching for the emotions it's most familiar with, not because they're right, but because they're comfortable. It is comfortable to be anxious. I know this sounds crazy, but stick with me for a second. Your body will keep reaching for those emotions that it feels familiar with because that's comfortable to you, whether you realize it or not. What is uncomfortable is telling yourself, I got to snap out of this. I got to dance around. I got to focus on gratitude. I've got to pray. I've got to go work out. That's uncomfortable because you're forcing yourself out of an emotion that you know so well. So don't get it twisted. It's not that this is right. It's just that this is familiar. And anytime we try and make change in our lives, it's gonna be uncomfortable. It's gonna be not so fun to get from there to here. But the more often you do it, like you guys, if you're struggling with getting out of a rut right now, it might take you a minute to teach yourself a new habit. But for me, 2 seconds, boom, I know, because I've had 5 years of training my brain that I don't want to live this way. I don't want to be this person. I want to be the person that reaches for joy. I want to be the person that encourages others. I'm super familiar with it now, so I can go there faster. Let's see.
Someone said, how do I find my purpose? What can I do to get clear on that for me? I feel stuck.
How do you find your purpose is a very big question, Chris. I wish I could talk to you and like workshop this because this is so multi-layered and I don't know what's making you feel stuck. I think personally, that growth in any area of your life is purpose, gives you purpose. So for some parts of my life, the growth has come in the form of training for a half marathon. Sometimes the growth has come from, I really have to show up better for these kids. I really have to work on my anger. I really have to stop raising my voice. I really have to be the kind of mom that they need me to be. Those things, growth in any area that you care about, to me is purpose. I think it's, it may be too hard on yourself to be like, this is my ultimate reason for existing here on earth. But I think that you can find that ultimate reason for existing on earth if you dig into the areas that you personally want to grow in. Feeling stuck. I know that that's something that so many people struggle with. And I guess I would just start at, what is an area that you really feel like you are struggling with? So finances, health, relationships, your faith. What's an area that you feel like, man, I know if I improved in this area, it would change everything. If my faith was stronger, it would change everything. If my health was better, it would change everything, whatever that looks like to you. And really hone in on what you can do to grow in that area is going to get you unstuck. Because in order to grow, like with me with my anxiety, in order to get past that, I had to do some hard work. It's impossible to feel stuck when you're sitting at a therapist twice a week and having to dig through all the crap from your childhood. So being stuck is a choice. It's a choice. And I don't say that to be mean, but I want you to understand that you've got to choose a direction. You've got to start walking toward it. You're choosing to stay where you are today. How do you go about implementing the law of attraction? Abigail says. So actually, this is a huge practice in my life. This is in the next book that comes out in March, which is Girl Stop Apologizing. I wanted to write a book that was most specifically for you guys. I'm not even kidding. So I have so many followers who do direct sales, multi-level marketing. They own their own business. They have an Etsy shop. And I wanted to talk about how do you achieve a goal? Like, what are the actual tangible steps that I took to achieve a goal in my life? So I really want to encourage you to put it out there. First of all, I'm shocked at how many people can't even say their dreams out loud. They can't even just call the shot. They can't say like, I want to make $1 million. Because, you know, good girls aren't supposed to talk about money, right? Or they're like, I really want to grow my team, or I really want to grow my business, but they feel shame because they should only want to be a stay-at-home mom and only want to stay home with their kids, right? Like, there's so much mommy guilt wrapped up in many women who have a part-time job or want to build their own business. There's a ton of guilt wrapped up in it, which is a whole other kettle of fish. But so every single day I write down, well, hold on, step back. First of all, you have to know where you want to go. So I imagine in really great detail, I did this a long time ago, and I still have this vision in my mind and in my heart, the woman that I want to be in 10 years. Who do I want to be in 10 years? I'm very specific. I write it all down on a piece of paper. What kind of clothes do I wear? What kind of car do I drive? What kind of work do I do in my community? How much money have we given to organizations that we care about? How many people are employed because of the work that I'm doing? Where do I go on vacation? Like, everything. Be super detailed and don't hold yourself back, because nobody knows what you're writing down. So you don't have to worry about it. You just need to know in your heart. And then every single day of my life, I write down 10 dreams from that vision, that if these dreams were true, then that vision would be made manifest. And I write them down, and this is the key. I write them down as if they have already happened. As if they have already happened is a massive thing, because what we tend to do is say, I'm going to make $1 million. I'm going to grow my team by 20%. I'm going to fill in the blank. But all you're doing is creating a barrier in your mind, because all your mind recognizes is I'm going to. It's not focused on the end of that sentence. It's focused on, oh, I got to do something. But if you write down, it's bold to write down, I have $1 million in the bank. That's bold. And it makes your mind go like, whoa, wait a minute. Okay, that's something. And I swear, honestly, you guys, I swear this is true. I cannot even explain to you how many things I have been writing down for years that I have seen come to fruition in the last 9 months. Crazy stuff, like really crazy stuff, because I think when you tell your brain where you're going, you subconsciously, your mind will help you get there. It'll help you lay the groundwork. It'll help you figure it out. You don't even realize it's doing it. But it's shocking to me, just the power of writing it down, identifying what I want, writing it down as if it's already happened. And then I think, are we going until 10? I'm so sorry that I don't know this. Are we going until 10 today, guys? Will you tell me, Jess?
We're whatever is good for you.
Okay, so I think I do have a podcast interview at 10. So I will answer a couple more questions. But just so you know, I will tell you guys, which we have not announced this, but the idea of these 10 things, we're making a journal that'll come out this fall. You can absolutely do this in your own spiral bound notebook. You can write it down on your phone, but if you want a really pretty journal, we made one for you, and it comes out this fall. So just in time for the holidays. Let's see. How do you build a business or start that dream when you're overwhelmed with where you are currently? Broke, barely head above water. Oh man, this is so real. Okay, it's hard because it's like the chicken or the egg. Because if you could get that business off the ground, then you wouldn't be broke, right? I do not know a better way to learn to swim than to throw yourself in the deep end. I really don't. I built the company that I built. My first business was I was a high-end event planner, and I am positive that I hustled my butt off for that, because I left a job. I quit a job. Dave and I were newly married. We didn't have a lot of money, and I quit a job, and all I cared about was that I wanted to make at least the salary at the job I had quit. So I worked my butt off that year to be able to make, it was $38,000 to be able to make $38,000. And I made $38,700 that year because all I cared about was beating the number that I had just given up. So I think that you've got to get out of the idea. Well, I'm going to tell you two things. I'm going to say to all of you, this is specifically for Rachel, but I'm going to say to all of you to be very careful about the words that you're using, even when you talk about your life. So you're using overwhelmed makes you overwhelmed. You are broke, barely head above water. You're focusing on all the lack. You're focusing on all the things you don't have. Rachel, I need you today to sit down and write a letter to yourself about all the resources that you have, how strong you are. What have you accomplished, Rachel? This is not about like the words broke, the words overwhelmed. Those are shame words. You are brutalizing yourself about the place that you find yourself at right now. Okay, it's done. You're here. It's not about being here. It's about how am I going to climb a ladder to get out of here? So you need to acknowledge what you have done, the resources you do have, how strong you are. Look at you right now, surviving right now, even in the midst of this. That is powerful. If you stay in this mindset of where you are only, do you understand? I know I'm not talking to you for real, but hopefully you're still watching. Do you understand that you are, like you become what you focus on? And right now, Rachel, you are focusing on all the things you don't have. By saying that you're overwhelmed, by saying that that's all you see. You need to start only focusing on what you want, not what you have, what you want. Where am I going? How am I going to do it? What am I going to look like 10 years from now? How is it going to be? What vacation are you going to take next summer when you hit your revenue goals? Like, stop focusing on here, start focusing on there. All right, last question. Yes. Let's see. So Kayla says, how do you advise to continue to grow your reach on social media during a time when everyone is trying to grow? Kayla, as long as there have been businesses in the world, there have always been people competing for business. So it doesn't matter that everyone is trying to grow. You're comparing yourself right now. You're like, well, everyone's trying to do it, so I probably can't grow because everyone's out here trying to grow. That is a lie. You need to focus on differentiating yourself in the market. Y'all are in a business where you're selling the same stuff. And some of you are selling the same stuff in the same communities. So why would I buy something from Jessica instead of Sarah, instead of Rachel, instead of Christy? Why? There's only one reason. If I want your product, there's only one reason that I'm going to work with Jessica over Christy, and that's because I like her better. I identify with her more. She's my kind of girl. She's my friend. She has hair like I like. She wears feather earrings that are gold tipped on the bottom. That's the only reason I'm going to choose her over somebody else, is because I feel like I know her. So stop trying to compete with all of them and try and build a social media feed and a social media presence that represents you. How are you doing it that's different than how they're doing it? Do you know, guys, how many motivational speakers in the world are mothers? No, let me say it again. Do you know how many successful at this level motivational speakers there are who are mothers or women or who didn't go to college? Or, I mean, you're looking at her. You are looking at her. There's one, it's me. And if I had said, well, you know, Tony Robbins is that, first of all, there aren't even women in this field. It's me and Mel Robbins. That's it. That's what we got in the world of women motivational speakers. So if I had said like, oh, I'm not, you know, only guys can do this, then I wouldn't be doing it. If I had said, man, nobody motivational speaks, and then like I was on stage a couple of weeks ago, I'll be totally honest, and if there are guys on here, I'm so sorry because this is not a guy story, but I was speaking to a crowd in Vegas, like a huge sales convention, direct sales people, and I started on stage telling a story about the last time I was in that theater. It was the Backstreet Boys theater, and the last time I was in that theater, I started my period. Like as a 32-year-old woman, I like was watching a concert and was like, oh, okay, Britney Spears, and this has happened, and I have to leave. And I could see the look. There's like an older man who owned this company. I could see him in the first row, like, we paid this person to come here and give. Nobody does it like me. Nobody does it like me. That old man was so freaked out that he had paid me actual money. But I will tell you what, by being myself every single woman in that audience, by the way, was like, girl, like me too. I've been there. We've all been the girl who accidentally, whatever. I have my own style and it's not like anybody else's. And you have your own style on social media and it's not going to be like anybody else. And that's why I'm going to want to buy from you. That's why I'm going to want to do business from you. It's you. It's not the company you represent, guys. It's not the product. It's you they are buying from. So stop trying to compare yourself to her and stop trying to be like her and be like you.
Thank you. And add value to people. That's what Rachel's doing. That's where how she's gotten to where she is. She is constantly adding value to others.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yes. Thank you for adding value to us.
Yes, of course.
Thank you, Preston Pugmire. He actually has helped me with the tech issues today. He's my life coach, which has been like therapy on steroids. Totally appreciate you. Thank you so much. We are all going to be first. As soon as Girls Stop Apologizing comes out, we're all going to be getting that.
It's a good one. It's a good one.
We just appreciate you and your time so much.
Thank you, guys. Have a great day.
Bye. Thanks.